It starts one morning when Kurusu wakes up to find his Lamia reptilian baddie, Mia, cuddling with him. When he tells her to get up, she gently asks him to stay for 5 more minutes so she can warm up her body. However, Kurusu's little Johnny is acting up, so he tries to leave, but she forces him back into bed and shoves his face between her watermelons. She then wraps him up like a shawarma to warm up even more, but Kurusu cannot breathe, so he grabs her to make her stop. Turns out, Mia's tail is the most sensitive spot on her body, so after Kurusu shows her his gooning technique, she feels weak in the knees and finally lets him go. Now fully satisfied, she pulls him back for another embrace, and after her fountain erupts, she chokes him so hard that Kurusu ends up passing out. Later, while Kurusu is setting up the bath for Mia, she bursts in with her jugs out and gives him a nosebleed. While Kurusu is controlling his urges, she casually steps into the warm water and asks Kurusu to take her to a hot spring someday. She then pulls him into the bath and says she wants to have a mixed bathing experience with him, but Kurusu turns on the cold valve to escape her torment. He then steps outside, where he bashes his head on the sink because he cannot bash Mia's cheeks. Afterward, as he's making breakfast, he's startled by the sudden visit of Agent Smith, his interspecies exchange coordinator, who has come to make sure Kurusu is staying out of Mia's pants. Kurusu assures her that he won't do such a thing, so Smith reminds him that violation of the Human-Monster Treaty will result in his arrest, and Mia will be shipped off to Epstein Island as punishment. She then teases Kurusu by reminding him that Mia's got a nice body, and he must have thought about cracking her at least once, only for Mia to show up and scold Smith for teasing Kurusu. Seeing that they're doing well, Smith decides to take her leave, but not before reminding Kurusu of the law. Once she leaves, Mia recalls how she was worried about Kurusu treating her with disgust, but he accepted her with a smile and treated her like a gentleman. Ever since then, she's fallen in love with Kurusu, so she pins him down and asks him to take her on a bumpy ride to Pound Town. Just as she leans closer to kiss him, Kurusu tells her to stop, and she believes it's because of the law, but in reality, it's because she's dislocated his shoulder by strangling too hard. Minutes later, Agent Smith returns to fix his arm, while Mia cries in the corner for going too far. The next day, Smith visits him again and asks him to take Mia out so she can get familiar with the city. Kurusu reluctantly agrees, but Mia happily hops on the streets thinking she's on a date. After they do lots of fun activities together, Mia spots a lingerie store and drags Kurusu inside. She then forces him into the changing room, where she makes him appreciate her bosom before asking him to pick the ones she'll look good in. Kurusu gets flustered and runs out, only to realize that he is holding on to Mia's kitty cover. Later, she teases him for being a panty thief when an ugly human couple passes by and mocks them. But Mia gets upset and tries to attack, only for Kurusu to tank the hit. She anxiously asks why he stepped in, and he reminds her of the law that prevents her from attacking humans. Just then, a crowd forms around them, and people start taking pictures of Mia, so she asks Kurusu to take her somewhere private. Somewhere, they end up in a freaky hotel where he tries his best to hold back his gooner fantasies, while Mia wonders if he's only nice to her because of the law. Before he can respond, she exposes her jugs and tells him to look at her, so he can understand that she's not scary. At that moment, Kurusu is about to give in to temptation, but Agent Smith and her men break down the wall and barge into the room because they got reports that a human and a monster girl have come here to smash. However, once she sees that it's Mia and Kurusu, she calms down, knowing Kurusu doesn't have the balls to do anything. As Smith escorts them out, they run into the same ugly couple from before who start saying nasty things about Mia. Mia tries her best not to react, but this time, Kurusu steps up and punches the ugly couple in their noses.
Inside low kick.
But he ends up breaking his wrist in the process. That night, Smith tells him she's settled the matter with the ugly couple, and they won't bother him anymore. After she leaves, Mia arrives and asks why he attacked those guys, and he says it's because she's a girl and no one should say mean things to her. Hearing that he sees her as a girl, Mia gets extremely happy and pins him down to show him her Gawk Gawk 3000.
Yeah, boy.
But Smith returns at the worst time and asks for dinner, ruining Mia's plans to get laid. The following day, Mia is at the balcony, still gushing over how her macho man saved him from the mean couple, and she promises to protect him too when the need arises. Just then, a human bird monster arrives and flies away with Kurusu, leaving Mia anxious. Soon after, Kurusu finds himself hanging from a tree and sees his kidnapper, a harpy named Poppy. Kurusu is confused and asks where her host family is, but she gets distracted by an ice cream truck and asks Kurusu to get it for him. Then suddenly, she asks him who he is, and Kurusu realizes that she has a terrible memory because she's a bird. After he gets her the ice cream, she finally remembers that she was reading the interspecies bill, but got bored and ran off while her coordinator was away. As Kurusu starts to panic, she says she's run off many times before until she suddenly remembers that this was her final warning, and she'll now be deported. Because of this, she drops her ice cream and starts crying. So Kurusu offers his own kulfi. Since she can't hold it herself, she asks him to keep it in one place so she can give it a sloppy toppy, but everyone around gets the wrong idea, so he pulls it out of her mouth, causing the cream to spill on her face. Kurusu anxiously asks her to bathe in the river, but Pappy removes her plot armor and starts bathing in the fountain in front of everyone, prompting everyone to stop and admire her peaches. She also drags Kurusu into the fountain, but just then, an angry Mia returns and starts arguing with Pappy for stealing her man. This leads to an intense fight between the girls until they notice that a little girl is stuck on a tree and needs help. Seeing this, Pappy decides to fly up and rescue the girl, but she falls flat on her face as her wings are wet and she can't fly. Mia takes matters into her own hands and climbs the tree to impress Kurusu, but when she goes up, she ends up scaring the girl. As the girl falls, Pappy tries to catch her, but she can't hold on for long, causing her to crash down. However, Kurusu slips under her to cushion their fall, and they end up saving the girl from any harm. Just then, the police officer shows up and asks Pappy about her host family, but she doesn't have any because she ran away. Luckily, Kurusu tells the officer that Pappy is with her, and his kindness makes Mia really happy. However, the officer suspects something is off and asks to see Pappy's ID, which makes them all anxious. However, Agent Smith arrives at the perfect time with Pappy's identification and saves the day. At night, they're at Kurusu's place, and Smith explains that no family wants to host Pappy because she keeps running away, so she's decided to let Pappy stay with him. She then welcomes Pappy to her new home and advises her to obey Kurusu, so she excitedly hugs Kurusu and promises that she won't cause trouble. Seeing this makes Mia a little jealous, but she acts normally and asks Kurusu to help Pappy with a warm bath. Seeing this, Smith praises Mia for staying composed, and Mia says she has nothing to worry about as Pappy is young. But Smith reveals Pappy is an adult like her. So Mia immediately rushes to the bath and kicks Kurusu out. She then gives an aggressive bath to Pappy and asserts that Kurusu's sausage is made only for her buns, so Pappy should stay away. The following morning, Mia forces Pappy to sleep with her, while Kurusu goes out to buy groceries to accommodate both Mia and Pappy. Just then, he gets bumped by a blonde with honkers of mass destruction, and she introduces herself as Centauria Saria. She also reveals she's looking for a master and asks if he's the one, only to see that he's knocked out cold from the bump. Later, Kurusu calls Smith and learns that Saria has permission to go out alone because her race seeks out masters on their own. She then reveals that it's her day off and she's gonna sleep, so Kurusu will have to take care of Saria for the time being. After the call ends, Saria and Kurusu discuss what to do next when a thief snatches a girl's purse and zooms away on his scooter. Saria instinctively pulls Kurusu towards her, only to see his face buried between her gigantic puffballs. After pushing him away, she pulls out her sword and vows to end the thief, only to realize that she can't harm humans due to the interspecies bill. She then asks Kurusu to come with her so he can beat up the thief, so Kurusu casually tries to hop on her back. Suddenly, she kicks him away and says that spot is reserved only for her master, so instead, he hangs by her waist, and she goes after the thief. The guy doesn't give up and speeds even more until he runs into a worker carrying water tanks. He uses his scooter to throw them towards Saria, but she uses her sword to cut the tanks, and that results in her shirt becoming see-through. As the chase continues, the thief jumps off the stairs into the lower road, but Saria doesn't give up and jumps after him. However, Kurusu almost loses grip and has to hold Saria by her moisty wagamamas, which causes her shirt to get undone and expose her plots to the world. Seeing this, the thief gets a nosebleed and crashes, but Saria is so flustered that she runs into a wall to hide her embarrassment. She then reaches for her sword, only to see that the thief has it and he's about to slice her, only for Kurusu to step in and take the hit. Kurusu thinks he's dead, but hours later, he's calling Smith to let her know he's fine because the sword was fake.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the?
He also tells Smith that he rode Saria's back, and Smith tells him he's screwed because for Saria's race, it's the same as getting married. Hearing this, he runs into Saria's feet and apologizes for forcefully riding her, but she gently tells him that it's her fault for dragging him along. When Kurusu says it's no big deal, she places his hand on her bouncy ball and tells him to feel her heartbeat. She adds that this is the first time someone has risked their life to protect her, and for that, she acknowledges Kurusu as her master, swearing lifelong fealty to him. Before he can respond, Mia and Pappy barge into the room, and Kurusu is forced to explain everything to them. During dinner, all three girls argue over who loves Kurusu the most, yet no one wants to help him do the dishes. Later, Mia educates the other two on the interspecies bill, which states that monsters can't harm humans and one must never leave without their host. She adds that whoever has stayed with the host the longest gets to call dibs on the host's sausage, but Saria quickly realizes that the third rule is fake. Just then, Kurusu arrives with a horseshoe planted on his face, and Mia immediately gets mad, thinking Saria broke the first rule. However, Kurusu reveals that he accidentally walked in on Saria in the shower, and she kicked him on pure instinct. As both of them are apologizing to each other, Mia gets jealous and separates them before scolding Saria for getting too close to Kurusu. However, this leads to an argument between them. All the while, Poppy is reading the interspecies bill in the foreground. However, the bill is so complicated for P-Brain that she crashes like a buggy Windows, so she asks Kurusu to help her cool down. Kurusu suggests taking a bath and asks the other two for help, but since they're fighting, he decides to help Poppy instead. In the bath, he asks Pappy to wear a swimsuit, but she has no hands and asks him to put it on her. As he reluctantly does it, Poppy's feathers get stuck in the swimsuit, and he accidentally gets hands-on with her peaches while trying to free them. This causes him a nosebleed, so he jumps into the water to cool off his head. However, Poppy steps into the tub as well and lies on top of him, saying that they feel like siblings, and if she ever had a big bro, she'd want him to be like him. She admits she likes how he takes care of her and even scolds her gently when she messes up, but Kurusu doesn't hear a thing because all the blood is in his South Pole. She then says there are only female harpies, so she doesn't know what it's like to have a brother, and she's really happy now. Kurusu sighs in relief, but she suddenly places his hand on her peaches and says it felt good when he touched her last time and she wants to feel even better by kissing him. At this, Kurusu starts resisting because siblings don't do such things, but when Poppy tries to use force, she's stuck to a wall with a bunch of arrows, shot by Saria, who finally realizes that Poppy is not the innocent little bird they thought. She then asks Kurusu to climb on her back, but Mia arrives too and tells Saria to fill out her transfer documents before Smith arrives. Saria ignores her and runs away with Kurusu, and when they reach a nearby park, she gently asks him to let go of her creamy puffs, leaving Kurusu in panic. He quickly apologizes, but she shyly says she doesn't mind even if he cracks her because she's chosen him as her master. She then goes off on a whole TED talk about how important it is for her species to find a master, but Kurusu tells her to relax as she's now in Japan, and she should try to learn more about Japanese culture. Just then, she spots a couple holding hands, so she shyly asks Kurusu if he'd like to hold her hand. However, she quickly backs off upon realizing that she's asking too much, but Kurusu surprises her by gently holding her hand. For a moment, time stops for Saria, and she starts blushing really hard, as if she experienced the back door for the first time. Just then, Mia and Poppy crash into the scene and take turns suffocating Kurusu with their respective bosoms. For plot reasons, Smith happens to pass by and sees them fighting over Kurusu, and as things get heated, she pulls out her tranquilizer gun to subdue them. Once again, Kurusu jumps in front like a moron and is knocked out as a consequence. That evening, he wakes up in his apartment and wonders where the girls are, so Smith points to the door, and he sees the girls quietly watching him with guilty faces. They apologize for troubling him, but he tells them it's okay because they're a family, and Smith is the one who's really at fault. Smith then reveals that there has been a change in the bill, and interspecies marriage is now allowed for testing. So she tells Kurusu that he can choose to crack one of the three girls under his care. Hearing this, Rose starts to worry for his sausage, but Smith says her work is done and casually leaves him with three freaks who all want to use his face as a chair. That night, Kurusu rolls in bed thinking about who he'll marry when Mia knocks on his door and asks if he's against marrying monsters. Kurusu says he isn't, and he was just taken aback. So hearing this, she steps into the room and asks him to choose her because snakes smash all night long.
Yes! 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 Yes!
And she can reach places he didn't know existed. Just as things get wild, Poppy flies in through the window, knocking Mia out and asking Kurusu to play with her feathers. However, Surya breaks down the door and saves him from getting cracked, adding that tonight is a full moon, which awakens animalistic instincts in most species. Kurusu thinks Surya is free from the moon's influence, but Surya suddenly exposes her milk packs and asks him to taste test them. Realizing he's cooked, he tries to run away, but the girls stop him and beg him to pick one of them as his wife. Luckily, he slips away again downstairs and gets a call from Smith, who asks if he has decided whom he wants to marry. Bro says no because he just found out, so she advises him to talk to the girls or they will keep pestering him. Just then, he opens the fridge to grab a drink, but the girls break down the wall and smash him down, only to be horrified when they see him lying in a pool of his own blood, which causes them to shut down. In reality, it is the ketchup from the fridge, and Kurusu is completely fine, albeit with some broken bones. The following day, he wakes up the girls, who are shocked to see him all taped up, and he directly tells them he will soon pick one of them as his wife, right before passing out. Later, Surya is gushing over what Kurusu said when Papi asks her to play a game with her. Surya refuses because she's busy, so Papi starts playing by herself while Kurusu makes dinner. After he's done, Papi drags him to play with her, and when Mia comes from upstairs to check the pot, she finds a water-based monster inside, and it latches onto her face. Unable to breathe, Mia passes out, and Surya tells Kurusu that the creature is actually a slime, a creature that is yet to be accepted into society. However, Surya vows to protect him from the slime, so when the slime attacks again, she quickly pulls out her sword to slice it. Unsurprisingly, the sword has no effect on the slime, and it ends up drenching everyone from head to toe. Kurusu quickly leaves the room to shower, but he's shocked that Papi doesn't care at all because she's playing her game. In the shower, Kurusu decides to call Smith to let her know, but Surya shows up at the door and asks if he's okay. When he says he is, she drops her plot armor and enters the showers with honkers so massive they have their own gravity. Kurusu quickly covers up and anxiously asks why she's here, and she says she has no ill intentions. She just wants to make sure he doesn't get slimed again. Kurusu asks why she's not wearing her plot armor, and suddenly buries her jugs in his face, telling him that she needs help getting the slime off her body. Later, as he's cleaning her up, he asks her not to feel bad, as he's the reason she got dirty. Just when Kurusu gets closer to the rump, she starts making happy noises because that's her sensitive spot. Immediately, Kurusu apologizes and decides to wash her from the front, but her planetary jugs make him flustered. Unbeknownst to them, the slime is watching from outside. Minutes later, they're both in the tub, and Kurusu wonders why the slime attacked them. Surya reveals it must be looking for water, and Kurusu jokingly says that the bathroom might not be safe. Just then, he sees the slime stuck to the roof, and Surya instinctively reaches for her sword, except she grabs Kurusu's sword instead. After she realizes it, she panics and hits her head, causing her to pass out, which allows the slime to take Kurusu hostage. Bro begs for his life, but the slime suddenly transforms into a busy babe before pinning him down and massaging his face with her bouncy castle. She then starts washing him like he was washing Surya, and Kurusu quickly realizes that she is imitating others. He finally calms down, thinking that she's not dangerous, but she pulls his face into her jugs and leaves him gasping for air. After failing to free himself, Kurusu decides to jump in the tub, and that finally gives him the room to breathe. He then leaves the slime in the tub and heads out to inform the others about her, but just then, they notice that she's playing with Papi in the background. The next day, Mia and Surya are upset because the slime ruined their mug and sword, respectively, but Pap protects the slime girl and even names her Sue. Finally calming down, the girls realize they need to put something on Sue, so they choose a raincoat so it won't slip into her. Surya then notes that Sue has shrunk in size, and Kurusu believes it's because she's lost water. However, the bigger problem is that someone smuggled her here, and they wonder if they should let Agent Smith handle her. Surya thinks keeping a kidnapped species might start another war between humans and monsters, so the best course of action is to send her back. When Papi hears this, she simply grabs Sue and takes off, causing Kurusu to run after her on foot. As they eventually pass by a canal, Sue anxiously wiggles and falls on top of Kurusu. Papi then asks her why she got scared, and Kurusu believes it's because she got afraid of melting in water. He then scolds them for leaving the house without his permission, but Papi angrily says she won't let anyone take Sue away, and she'll break the law if she has to. Just then, a bunch of brats ask Papi to play with water guns with them, and Kurusu realizes she comes here often to play. Just then, one of the boys drenches her, and she hugs them with her see-through shirt, making Kurusu realize why she's popular among the boys. Kurusu also notices that Poppy is caring and even protects Sue, which means she has strong maternal instincts. Just then, Sue drops her tentacles in the water and absorbs it, turning her into a thick mamacita, which makes the gooners freak out. She then hugs them like Poppy before shooting them with water, causing them to run away. While the brats are on the road, a speeding car almost runs over a girl, but Sue protects her with her own body. As she rests by the bridge wall, it collapses, and Poppy holds her hand to prevent her from falling into the river and melting away. However, the grip is too loose, so Sue thanks Poppy for everything before she eventually slips away. Luckily, she falls into the trunk of the car that was placed there by Kurusu, and it makes everyone happy. After that, he calls Saria and Mia and convinces them that Sue is not dangerous and they should raise her together, which appeals to their maternal instinct. He also asks them not to tell Agent Smith and hangs up, but when he enters his home, he finds Smith at the door, leaving him shocked. Later, Mia and the others hold a meeting to discuss how to protect Sue from the government. But before they reach a consensus, some construction workers show up at the house and turn the place upside down. Turns out, Smith sent workers to transform the house for Sue, but the girls don't know that, so they escape with Sue. Suddenly, they realize they left Kurusu behind in panic, since he could very well be arrested. Just then, some men in black show up, and they're forced to hide, where Pappy accidentally spills water on them, but since Sue needs water, she digs into Pappy's mouth to get some. She even goes as far as to drink from Pappy's fountain of youth, leaving her weak in the knees. In the meantime, Kurusu is frantically searching for the girls when a girl in a wheelchair crashes into him, and the next thing he knows, she's sitting in his lap. After she apologizes for crashing, Kurusu helps her up, and she introduces herself as Mero. Kurusu then reveals he is looking for 3 demi-humans, and Mero already knows he's looking for a lamia, harpy, and centaur, because she saw them on her way here. Meanwhile, Saria is worried about getting Diddle because she's also drenched, but things get worse when she breaks a faucet with her large back and unintentionally invites Sue to sip her as well. As Saria makes happy noises, Mia covers her mouth so they don't attract the government agents, but Sue makes it worse by emptying Saria's milk cannons and leaving her in Cloud 9. By the time Kurusu and Mero arrive, they feel a strong bloodlust in the woods, and it's because Mia is defending herself from Sue's diddler antics. However, she gets distracted by Kurusu, and this gives Sue the opportunity to take Mia down as well. After that, Sue tries to jump Mero, but Kurusu traps her in a plastic bag and wins over Mero. At night, they return home to learn that all that commotion was for nothing. Smith also shows up, and Poppy thanks her for letting Sue stay with them. However, Smith says what she did was illegal, but catching a runaway demi-human and handing it over to the government is not covered by her paycheck, so she's gonna act like she knows nothing. Kurusu is confused and asks why she rebuilt the house if not for Sue, so Smith brings in Mero and reveals the reconstruction was for her. Turns out, Mero is a mermaid who was to be introduced to Kurusu tonight, but she ran away and had her own encounter with the guy. The next day, Kurusu picks up Mero so he can drop her upstairs, but Mia thinks they're gonna smash and attacks Kurusu. She ends up breaking Mero's wheelchair, so until a newer wheelchair is brought, Kurusu offers to carry her. Despite this, Mia is infuriated and thinks Mero is trying to steal Kurusu from her, but Saria believes Mero is not interested in Kurusu romantically. However, when Mero asks him if he's single, Mia gets even more enraged. Just then, Mero slips a little and Kurusu has to hold her by the jugs, but he ends up unplotting her and exposing her perfect melons to everyone. As Mia yells at him, Mero explains that a mermaid's body is covered in slime, so their clothes often slip off, also adding that she wouldn't mind them slipping off often as long as it's for Kurusu. Now jealous, Mia storms off and then returns covered in slime to tempt Kurusu, but he casually tells her to take a bath, ruining her plan to get crack. Later, Mia is fuming, and Saria believes she's overreacting, but Mia doesn't listen and turns down the air conditioner to make Mero's room freeze. However, it affects her more than Mero, who is already accustomed to cold temperatures. When Kurusu notices this, he takes it all the way up, but when he leaves to get new batteries, Mia decides to confront Mero. However, Mero asks Poppy if Kurusu is single, so Saria asks why she's so interested in it. That's when she reveals that the story The Little Mermaid is popular among her kind, and it's her fantasy to live out that tragic story for real. Saria is sus and asks why she speaks in such an elegant fashion, but Mero flips the script on her by saying that she senses nobility and loyalty in Saria. Suddenly, Surya feels like she's in the presence of a queen and goes into her nightly roleplay until Mia snaps her out of it. She then announces that she will not let anyone steal Kurusu from her, so Mei-ro gently reveals she has no such intentions. Just then, Kurusu returns, so Mei-ro asks him to take her to her room, which makes Mia jealous. When Surya tells her to stop overreacting, Mia reveals she is also into fairy tales and would often read the ones where the prince would rescue the princess, and they'd live happily ever after. It's been her dream to be carried by a prince, so seeing Kurusu live her dream makes her jealous. Suddenly, she gets an idea and barges into Mei-ro's room in a swimsuit, hoping to tempt Kurusu with her jugs. Kurusu immediately freaks out, and she makes it worse by inviting him for a swim. Surya shyly joins them too, but her honkers are so massive that Mia feels threatened and tells her to stop showing off. After Surya leaves, Mia sees Mei-ro jump into the pool with Kurusu, so she jumps after him to rescue him, only to get cold and lose consciousness. Seconds later, she wakes up to find Kurusu carrying her in his arms and pulls him out of the water. Seeing this, Mei-ro quickly hugs Mia to warm her up with body heat, and Su suddenly attacks Kurusu to suck moisture. Mei-ro reveals Su attacked her as well, and Mia realizes that's why she jumped into the water earlier. Now feeling better, she invites Mei-ro to bathe with her, where she apologizes for being rude, while also adding that she will become Kurusu's wife. Mei-ro says she has no intention of marrying him because she likes tragic love stories. She then reveals she will actually support Mia's love for Kurusu and watch from a distance so she can have a heartbreak. A few days later, Mia is cooking for Kurusu and adds a splash of love to the pan, but it's so strong that it burns the dish. Despite initially panicking, she confidently says she'll manage it so she can prove to Kurusu that she's the perfect bride. She also declares that she'll make food from today, as a good bride knows how to make food. She then imagines the day Kurusu would come home from work and she'd offer her cookie as dessert. But just then, Kurusu passes by and tells her to watch the pot. Mia, without thinking, lifts the hot pot from the stove with her bare hands, and her scream can be heard from outside. She then locks herself in her room, and when Kurusu tries to cheer her on, she tells him she's not worried about cooking. She just wants to be left alone. Just then, Kurusu spots a molt outside her door, and while he's investigating, she breaks down the door to stop him, and that's when he sees that Mia is shedding skin, which is why she was hiding. She quickly hides under the blanket again and says she didn't want him to see her shedding, and since her hands are burned, she can't even remove the leftover bits. Kurusu is confused because she's not shy about being plotless, but she says it's more embarrassing for her kind to be seen molting. She feels terrible because neither can she cook nor clean, but she can't molt properly either, and she's worried Kurusu will choose someone else as his bride. Kurusu says snakes often fail to molt when they are under stress, so he will help her with the process. He then gets on her back and slowly feels off the old skin, and although it looks easy, Mia is feeling a little zesty with each touch. When he finally reaches the tip of her tail, which is her sensitive spot, she can't hold it any longer and strangles Kurusu to make him stop. Despite this, Kurusu quickly pulls the last bit off and then asks her to lie on her back so he can remove the skin from her stomach. However, she covers his eyes with her tail and removes her plot cover, asking him to do that part too because it's super sensitive. Reluctantly, Kurusu blindly moves his hand across, and she helps him find the right spot by the intensity of her happy noises. When he accidentally gets too close, she almost passes out, so Kurusu decides to speed things up. However, when his fingers suddenly start to feel warm, he realizes he's gone too far, and Mia spins him like a Beyblade. A few days later, Mia thanks him by forcing him to eat the most disgusting food known to mankind, and Kurusu's taste buds curse him for putting them through this torture. Just then, the rest of the girls arrive looking sick, and Mia proudly says she had them taste test everything, which explains the look on their faces. A few days later, Karura returns from a grocery run, and Sue immediately jumps into his arms, so Surya scolds Sue for not giving him space. Just then, Poppy drops the bombshell that she'll soon lay an egg, so the girls immediately smack Kurusu, thinking he's the dad. However, Poppy reveals it's unfertilized, so Kurusu decides to talk to Smith about it. Just then, a photographer shows up at their door, asking if they have a harpy who'll soon lay an egg, so they ask who he is. The man reveals himself as Kasagi, a film director, and he is currently filming a documentary on the interspecies exchange and wants to do an interview. Although they let him in, Kurusu is suspicious about the man's behavior. Kasagi asks Pappy if the egg is coming, but when she says no, he decides to pass the time by interviewing the others. The girls reluctantly agree, so firstly, he heads to Rose pool-like room where he starts thirsting over her gothic fashion and asks her to show what color her plot covers are. When others scold him for going too far, he simply says it's for science and then asks Mayro to show him how he gets out of the pool. Mayro happily jumps up and demonstrates the method, but her peach protectors come off, and Bro records her bare melons for gooning purposes. Even though Kurusu tells him to delete the clip, he promises that he'll edit it out in post. He then wishes to interview Saria, who already knows Kasegi is a diddler, so she vows to be extra careful. She then takes him to her Japanese-themed room, and while she's talking about her roots, he suddenly asks if she's wearing any plot covers. Saria starts fuming at his audacity, but he zooms on her jugs and notices that she's not wearing any peach protectors either. Bro then starts fondling her milk packs, so she pulls out her sword and threatens to chop up his sausage if he stays here any longer. Thus, Kasagi heads to Mia's room, where he asks her the same question, which pisses her off. Suddenly, Kasagi spots a bag filled with her molted skin, and she quickly snatches it from him, saying he doesn't want anyone to see. However, Kasagi begs her to let him have it so he can sell it to gooners who paid for Belle Delphine's bathwater. At first, she is against it, but Kasagi says he'll do research on her molt and figure out a way for her to marry Kurusu, which makes her fold. Just then, Mayro informs them that Poppy is close, so they rush to her room and offer her moral support. When Kasegi starts recording, Kurusu protests by the sick man, says it's all for science, and even asks Kurusu to help her lay the egg. As Kurusu massages her belly, she gets really close, so Kasegi asks Pappy to remove her plot cover so he can get a full view. Even when Kurusu says no, Pappy says it's okay, so as Kurusu takes it off, Kasegi starts rejoicing in his head because he manipulated everyone to give him free goon material. However, Sue is able to mimic his thoughts, and once she says everything out loud, the girls realize his intentions, threaten to beat him if he doesn't delete the footage. Kasegi, however, is unfazed because he knows demi-humans can't hurt him, but Kurusu baits him with a fake egg, and Detroit smashes him in the face. After that, they praise Sue for revealing the truth, and Mayro points to Pappy, who's about to lay the egg. As everyone cheers her on, she finally lets it out. Hours later, they're in the living room, and Pappy is cuddling with Kurusu, who asks Smith what to do with the egg, and she says it doesn't cover her paycheck. She also quietly tells him that she'll investigate the director too, before asking what's for dinner. Kurusu says Mia's cooking, and it turns out she accidentally cooked Pappy's egg for dinner.
Women.
Meanwhile, Kasegi is fuming in his man cave over getting caught, and he's also hosting a Spider-Woman who is interested in meeting with Kurusu. The next day, a gang of orcs hijacks a manga store, so the police set up camps outside the store to survey the situation. The gang consists of 6 well-trained and armed orcs who have taken hostages, and they demand that they be featured in a sussy manga with a female knight. They also want to be featured with elves, sister, stepmom, and so on, and the humans can't fight them because the bill prohibits them from hurting non-humans. While the police chief is fuming at the absurd laws, Smith shows up and assures them she's got this in the bag. Meanwhile, the orcs smell someone in the building and unload a full mag on them, only to reveal a ninja girl who was trying to sneak in. As she lies there bleeding, the orc leader uses her phone to inform the police that he did not violate the bill because he acted in self-defense. Hearing this, the police chief is fuming because he didn't authorize it and asks Smith to handle it. Back in the store, the orcs find a girl who is hiding, and she turns out to be a star in one of their favorite manga. While they're discussing who gets to clap her first, the girl spots the dead body of the ninja and runs to the window to ask for help. However, the orcs decide to diddle her in front of the whole world, unaware that there's a sniper positioned in a faraway building. She's revealed to be a one-eyed demi-human named Monaco, and she expertly destroys the weapons the orcs were carrying with deadly precision. In the store, the orcs start to panic when someone breaks down one of the walls, and it turns out to be an ogre named Tionisia, who helps the hostages escape. The only one remaining is the manga star, but just then, the apparently dead ninja girl comes back to life and empties her mags on the orcs. One of the orc leaders grabs her from behind and tries to squeeze her dry, but she shoots him through her own body, leaving the orc shocked. When he asks how she's still alive, she reveals herself to be a zombie named Zombena. Despite this, the orc warns her not to come close or he will end the manga star, but the girl kicks him in the face and introduces herself as Doppel, a demi-human capable of transformation. Just as Monaco joins them, Smith shows up and introduces the squad as a demi-human security force built to handle criminals of non-human origins. She then tells the orc to surrender or become pork chop, but the orc starts laughing as if he has something planned, only to flip and surrender like a loser. He believes it's because humans can't hurt him and he'll only be deported, but Smith unloads a whole mag of rubber bullets into his fat belly. The orc threatens to tell the others that Smith broke the law, only to realize that the person who shot him was Dopal, who had morphed into Smith. This finally breaks his mind, and the orc starts to cry for his mama. Later, at Kurusu's residence, the girls are watching Smith and her squad on the news, while Smith is sipping coffee in their living room. She also reveals she invited her co-workers to his place, so the whole squad shows up for dinner. Earlier today, they arrived at Kasagi's place to capture the spider lady, but she managed to slip away. At present, Smith says Kasegi was not registered as a host family, so it's strange that he was living with a non-human. As Smith learns that Kurusu left for the supermarket, Pappy and Sue inform them that there's a whole bunch of food outside their door. The girls rush outside to see grocery bags on the floor, which tells them the idiot has been kidnapped. Meanwhile, Kurusu wakes up in a barn, hanging from his feet, and comes face to face with the busty spider lady, who introduces herself as Rachnara. She expects Kurusu to be scared, but Bro casually says it's nice to meet her before asking her to let him down, because the blood is rushing to his head. After she lets him down, she shows him her premium jiggle physics, which causes Kurusu to lose his composure. As he frantically crawls away, Rachnara decides to have some fun with the virgin, but just then, a police officer comes searching the barn, so she quickly sticks to the roof with Kurusu. Just then, she notices Kurusu's banana getting bigger and teases him for it, but Bro says he can't help it when his face is buried in her wagamamas. Since he's making noise, Rachnara covers his face until the police officer leaves, and after that, she takes her sweet time playing with Kurusu. Bro can't handle so much cake and almost falls from the height, but she saves him before he lands and continues teasing him. After she finally frees him, he asks her why she's running away and where her host family is, so she says she doesn't see eye to eye with her host because they saw her as a monster. When Kasagi offered them money in exchange for her, they quickly took the offer and left her stranded. Kurusu feels sorry for her, but she sternly says she doesn't need her sympathy, as all humans are hypocrites who judge people based on appearances. She also believes people find her hot because her upper half is human-like, but Kurusu is a degenerate who's more captivated by her lower half, so she starts teasing him again. Just then, they realize that a whole squadron of police is outside the barn, ready to arrest Rachnara for hurting and kidnapping a human. Hearing this, Kurusu offers to surrender himself so Rachnara can run away, but she starts laughing because she finds his guts cute. She then lets the police in, and Smith apologizes to Rachnara for choosing the wrong family for her, but Rachnara says she doesn't want an apology. Instead, she wants a new home that already has other demi-humans, and the host is not afraid of spiders. Smith realizes Rachnara wants to live with Kurusu, so she assigns the idiot as her new host. The next day, Kurusu wakes up to his alarm, but when he tries to turn it off, he ends up feeling Surya's juicy plots. After jumping out of bed, he serves breakfast to everyone, and when Rachnara calls him honey, Mia starts fuming. Rachnara asks if she prefers darling, but Mia boils like a kettle and tells her to stay away from her future husband. When she tries to attack, Rachnara easily ties her up, and Mia feels defeated upon seeing that Rachnara has already befriended the others. Meanwhile, Surya is surprisingly calm and keeps shoving her jugs in Kurusu's face, and when he asks why she's so pushy today, she says she's just performing her duty because he's her master. However, when Kurusu leaves for the bathroom break, Mia asks Surya if she's okay with Rachnara being here, and Surya says she is. Mia argues that Rachnara looks freaky, but Surya advises her not to judge on appearances because they're all demi-humans. Just then, they hear a commotion in the bathroom and see that Rachnara has tied Kurusu up. She claims that he came in while she was doing her business, but Mia believes Rachnara was waiting for Kurusu to come in so she could get freaky. Surya stops Mia and advises Rachnara to lock the door next time, much to Mia's surprise. At night, a tired Kurusu hits the bed only to get abducted by Rachnara, who locks the door and decides to show him her jiggle so he can shoot his web into her. However, before Kurusu loses his V-card, Surya breaks down the door and runs off with him. Once outside, Kurusu asks her to stop, but she keeps running while imagining her life as Kurusu's wife. She then notices that people are staring at her because she looks different, when in reality, people are staring at her hypnotic jiggly orbs. Still, being a demi-human herself, she feels bad because she judged Rachnara by her appearance, and even though Kurusu says her hunch was right, she still believes it's a bad practice. Suddenly, she stops running and says she's not worthy of representing her species, but just then, a bunch of gooners surround her and start talking nasty about her. At first, she stays calm and ignores their yapping. But when they start mocking Kurusu for having a small PP, Saria pulls out her sword and swears to castrate them. Unfortunately, the law prevents her from harming humans, so the Gooners take full advantage of that and try to diddle her. Suddenly, they find themselves entangled in Ragnaro's webs, and she knocks them out with her sheer aura. Afterward, Saria thanks her for the help, but Rachnara wastes no time in diddling Kurusu, forcing Saria to separate them. Saria then breaks down, saying she hates Rachnara and warns him to stay away from her master. But Rachnara finds it cute because Saria is finally speaking her mind and not worrying about impressions. She then tells Saria that it's okay if they don't get along, adding that she actually looks scarier than other demi-humans, and there's nothing wrong with being wary of her. She then suggests they head home, but Saria stands there stunned because she didn't expect Rachnara to be so understanding. She then asks Rachnara to let her repay the kindness, so Rachnara ties her up in a sussy pose as payment for rescuing her. The next day, Kurusu comes down with a cold, so Mia dresses up as a nurse to help him recover. Just then, Smith barges in with a decontamination squad, stating that Kurusu might be infected with a new virus that can lead to a repeat of 2019. So she'll personally tend to Kurusu. However, it is just an excuse to skip work and sleep, so the girls wonder how they can help Kurusu. Then, they realize Sue is immune to all viruses, so they leave it up to her. However, she's as dumb as a rock, so they ask her to transform into Kurusu and teach her how to nurse him. At first, Saria touches her forehead with Sue to take her temperature, but being so close to a Kurusu look-alike raises her own temperature instead. Sue tries the same trick with Kurusu, but she ends up going too deep, and Kurusu almost drowns. After that, Meiro takes the reins and teaches Sue how to prepare a bath with medicinal herbs, but that will take at least a week, so they move on to the next step. Mia takes control this time and prepares a remedy for him, but since the others already know she's bad, they have Meiro taste it. Meiro takes a bite and immediately collapses, but Mia is oblivious to how bad she is. Luckily, Sue eats the whole dish before it reaches Kurusu, so now it's Poppy's turn to help. She suggests Kurusu sleep in her feathers to feel warm, but Mia gets jealous and instead starts massaging with her jugs to make Sue sweat. Seeing this, Saria also plays her part by shoving Sue's face into her massive jugs, and the girls start fighting over who will get to warm Kurusu up. Tired of the nonsense, Rachnara ties them all up, only to see that Sue has already left. Meanwhile, Sue is practicing everything she learned on Kurusu, and it only makes his fever worse. Seeing this, she taps into Kurusu's memories, and sees that last night, she was stuck in the rain, and Kurusu came to save her. He gave her his umbrella, and that's the reason he got sick, so she stays by his side until he wakes up and feels much better. Kurusu pats her head and thanks her for everything, and it makes her happy. Just then, the others anxiously barge into the room, and Kurusu assures them he's fine because of Sue. Shockingly, Sue starts speaking fluently and tells them that she loves Kurusu, and Mia explodes because she now has another contender for Kurusu's sausage. Just then, Smith wakes up and starts sneezing, so everyone starts practicing social distancing from her. A few days later, Kurusu is invited to a maid cafe to meet Smith, and as he casually walks in, Mia and the others watch like a hawk from the outside because they think Kurusu is on a date. They want to investigate further, but it's impossible for them to go unnoticed until Saria has an idea. Inside the cafe, a maid with premium jugs takes Kurusu's order, and he notes that she looks a lot like Meiro. However, Smith reminds him that Meiro doesn't even have legs to stand on, so he lets it slide. Unbeknownst to him, it is indeed Meiro who's standing on her tail with Sue's help, but can't walk without hopping like a bunny. When the others task her to spy on Kurusu, she ends up spilling another man's drink, who's initially angry, but calms down after seeing them bounce. She then eavesdrops on Kurusu and hears Smith talk about a date, but that makes her sweat from nervousness. Feeling the moisture, Sue gets zesty and makes her feel weak in the knees, thus ruining their entire plan. Later, Kurusu and Smith run into a real-life event based on a game, where Kurusu spots a Pappy look-alike with hands and a bosom. Thinking it's someone else, he heads into the store, but it's actually Pappy who's using Sue for transformation. Meanwhile, Kurusu watches Smith play the crane game, but then asks him to find someplace private. Hearing this, Pappy asks Sue to call Mia, but the phone drops between her jugs, and as she tries to pull it out, every gooner in the area gathers to watch her massage those orbs. Eventually, the phone slips to her no-no zone, and Sue tries her best to pull it out, but instead, she ends up giving Pappy the best 30 seconds of her life. To make matters worse, Saria calls the phone, and it's on vibrate, and the next part is not even PG. Seeing the crowd gather, Smith decides to go somewhere else where it's quieter. They head to a cafe, and as Kurusu comes to buy ice cream, he finds Mia and Saria at the truck. He fails to recognize them too, but admits they look familiar, while Mia and Saria take a sigh of relief because the truck hid their lower halves. They plan to watch Kurusu and Smith, but a cesspool of degenerates swarms them, so they can start at their milk packs while they serve ice cream. Once again, the crowd pisses Smith off, so she drags Kurusu somewhere else, foiling Mia and Saria's place. Seeing this, Mia tries to chase after them, but her clothes are connected to Saria through Sue, and once they come undone, the whole crowd feasts their eyes on Saria's creamy puffs. Meanwhile, Mia follows them outside a hotel and runs into Rachnera, who says she's been following them all day and eavesdrops on people using her spider webs. She then jokes that Kurusu must be getting freaky with Smith and climbs the window to see, but Mia climbs on her back to stop her because she doesn't want it to be real. As they start making a fuss outside the window, someone pulls them inside the room, and they're surprised to see Smith and Kurusu with a demi-human security force. When they ask what's going on, Smith reveals that Kurusu received a threatening letter warning him not to marry any of them, so they staged a date to lure out the culprit. However, since today's plan didn't work, Smith asks them to go on dates with Kurusu until they solve this issue. The next day, Kurusu is on a date with Mia, but she's not happy because Mero has to come along as well. However, Mero assures her that she only wants to be a mistress, and ships Mia with Kurusu. Just then, Kurusu spots Tionisia serving as their secret bodyguard, but it's not so secret because she's 8 feet tall. Afterward, they head to the aquarium where the owners welcome Mero with a red carpet, which attracts even more attention to them. Once inside, Mero gives them a premium pass and even gives them alone time so they can get closer. Mia and Kurusu then spend the next few hours going around the aquarium and feel closer to each other. At one moment, they are seconds away from kissing, but Mero returns at the worst time to ruin the moment. Afterward, Mero takes them to the auditorium, where she gives everyone a stunning performance that captivates Kurusu's heart. Seeing this, Mia gets jealous and leaves, only to run into another demi-human of the lizard kind. Since he's a reptile like Mia, they bond over the heating problem, and the lizard even gives Mia a drink to help warm her up. He then invites her to go out in the sun, and Mia agrees. When Tionisia informs Smith of this, she concludes that the culprit might target the girls instead of Kurusu. Meanwhile, the lizard guy is rowing a boat with Mia, and when he tries to vilify Kurusu, Mia quickly defends him and says it's Mero's fault. However, the lizard guy goes off, announcing his hate for Kurusu and even offering to remove Kurusu from the equation if Mia lets him hit it. He says they're the same, so they should stick together, and while Mia believes he's a lizardman, he reveals himself to be Draco, a descendant of royal dragons. Mia realizes he's the one who sent that letter, but Draco wastes no time pinning her down and exposing her jugs. Just then, they see an angry Kurusu rushing over in a swan boat, and before Draco can react, Kurusu rams the boat into him and rescues Mia. Once outside the water, he gives Mia his shirt to warm her up, and when Draco comes to the shore, Kurusu asks him to take off his shirt too, or he'll get sick. Surprisingly, Draco turns out to be a chick, and she says she just wanted a friend. Mia asks why she wrote that letter, but Draco says he didn't write any letter before taking off. After that, Kurusu puts a pretty necklace around Mia, which he got from the shop, and she happily hugs him. Meanwhile, Draco gets caught by Smith, but since she didn't send the letter, the search for the culprit continues. The next day, it's Pappy's turn to go on a date with Kurusu, and she brings along Sue to the forest for support. When Kurusu asks Pappy why she picked this spot, she says she does not remember. Just then, Zombina starts munching on the barbecue, so Kurusu yells at her to stop because she is supposed to hide and guard them. As they're arguing, a giant monster the size of your mom's freaky massager appears and starts smacking them. Kurusu quickly grabs Pappy and Sue and starts running, but the tree calls out to Pappy and snatches her away, so Pappy finally remembers why she brought Kurusu here. The tree also strangles Kurusu, and since Sue is the only one left, he begs her to run home and inform the others. Just then, the tree smacks Sue away, and she lands in a container of hazardous fertilizer. Meanwhile, the tree monster reveals herself as a dryad and declares that she loathes humans. Kurusu is confused because dryads aren't supposed to be this big, but when she starts squeezing him hard, Pappy begs her to stop. Once she stops, Pappy reveals that the dryad is actually her friend named Ki, and she ran into her when she was running away from Smith and the police. Back then, Key was weak because she didn't have soil or water, so Poppy brought her into the forest and planted her near the trees. After that, Poppy forgot about her, and now Key has turned huge with no explanation as to why. Poppy then assures Key that Kurusu is not a bad person and asks her to let him go, but Key says she's here because of humans, and she'll hate them no matter what. Hearing this, Poppy believes it's her fault for forgetting about Key, and she must stop her. But Key flings her away, and Poppy lands in the middle of Opie heaven. It turns out to be Sue the size of Colossal Titan, and after she frees Kurusu, she reveals that Key became this large because she ingested the illegally dumped fertilizer. She believes Key will calm down if they remove the fertilizer from her body, but just then, Key starts throwing hands, and Kuru and Poppy start dangling from Sue's planetary orbs. Somehow, Poppy finds herself on top of Key, so she starts squeezing her juices until Key uses her branches to restrain her. Poppy can't reach the jugs anymore, so she begs Kurusu to do it instead, so Sue brings him closer to Key's wagamamas. Sue also distracts Key by force, and this allows Kurusu to have a snip-snip. After that, Key returns to normal, and Smith shows up to apprehend her. However, Kurusu argues that it happened because humans dumped fertilizer in the forest, so the responsibility should not lie with Key. Smith assures him that she's not going to punish Key, adding that she isn't the one who wrote that letter because she can't even write. She also permits Key to live in the forest and promises to remove the garbage, and Key decides to stay here because she wants Poppy and Sue to come play with her. The next day, Kurusu is on a date with Smith, but she scares away anyone who tries to approach him. When he gets a call, Saria believes it might be the culprit and takes the phone from him, but it turns out to be Manako, who's keeping surveillance for the day. Saria asks if there's danger nearby, but Manako tells her she's the danger because she's attracting too much attention. However, Saria refuses to let her guard down, believing that Kurusu can be attacked at any time. Kurusu asks her to at least take off her helmet, and even when she does so, she remains fierce. Seeing this, Manako hopes they're okay, only to be interrupted by a hooded girl, who gets scared after seeing that she's a mono-eye and runs off. In reality, the girl is a bat lady, and she's just playing with Manako, and her next target is Saria, who's currently stuck in a door thanks to her massive back. Since she can't fit into any stores, Kurusu suggests they hang out outdoors, so he takes her to a picnic spot. There, Saria pulls out some homemade sandwiches for Kurusu, but they turn out quite bland. Even then, Kurusu pretends that they're good only for Rachnara to show up and call Cap. She tells Saria that her sandwiches are bland and that Kurusu is being nice, which makes Saria sad. She says her kind only eats veggies, so she couldn't taste test the food, and that makes her feel so bad that she leaves to cool off. While she's sulking alone, the Bat Girl finds her and asks what she's up to, and Saria says she feels bad for not doing anything good for her master. Just as she lets her guard down, the Bat Girl leaps on her and starts hypnotizing Saria. Minutes later, Kurusu comes looking for her and finds her in the forest, but as he approaches her, she pins him down and starts playing with her golden globes to please him. Now panicking, Kurusu tries to push her away but ends up getting hands-on with her, while the Batgirl watches with a smirk as her plan to watch live-action corn is working perfectly. Just then, an angry boar shows up behind her, and as she screams, the hypnosis comes undone. Seeing the board, Kurusu quickly blinds it with his shirt and causes it to crash into a tree, but the boar gets back up and runs after him. Saria quickly knocks it down, and while the Batgirl runs away, Saria tears up, saying she's useless and is always causing him more trouble. She apologizes for failing him, but Kurusu casually hops on her back and says he twisted his ankle and needs a ride home. When Saria hesitates, he suddenly hugs her and says she's more reliable than she thinks, so she happily walks him home. Meanwhile, a police officer finds a tied-up board courtesy of Rachnara, who has also restrained the Batgirl named Lilith. However, Lilith starts yapping about how Rachnara is afraid to face humans because of her looks, hoping that she'll get under Rachnara's skin. However, that ends up backfiring on her, so Rachnara decides to show Lilith her freak side. That night, Saria announces that she'll be making salads from now on, and while others are protesting over a vegan diet, Meiro is fine because she's a herbivore. Saria then promises that she will make herself more useful around the house and shyly asks Kurusu to help her when she needs it. Meanwhile, Rachnara takes Lilith to her lair, where she plays with her until she's certain that Lilith isn't the one behind that threatening letter. The next day, Tio is dragging Kurusu from one shop to another because super excited to be on a date with Kurusu. As he wonders how he got here, he recalls Zombana handing him another threatening letter, but when he reads it, he realizes it's more like an ominous love letter from a delusional person. Zombina then demands that he take them all on a date, but when he says Smith didn't inform him, she says they're sick of playing bodyguard and want to have some fun too. Seeing Zombina crash out, Kurusu agrees to take them all on a date, only to learn that Dopal didn't want to be a part of it and left. Later, after Tio drags him across town, she finally stops at a clothing store, but the articles there do not fit her large body, which makes her juggernauts pop out. Seeing this, she becomes self-conscious and heads back into the changing room to change, only for her clothes to get stuck. She begs Kurusu to come in and help her, and Bro finds his face planted between her cakes. As he waits outside the changing room, Tio is inside feeling sad because she cannot wear skirts or stylish clothes. Seeing this, Kurusu offers to make her clothes because he's been making them for Mia and has plenty of practice. Hearing this, Tio rushes out of the changing room and hugs Kurusu, taking his breath away with her golden globes. However, she quickly gets self-conscious and runs back inside. Later, Zombina takes over the mission and drags Kurusu to the movies. Watching a zombie movie hypes her so much that she accidentally drops her zombie hand in public. Kurusu quickly takes her to a bookstore where he sews her hand back, and Zombina feels flattered because he isn't repulsed by her. When Kurusu says he sees her as a normal girl, she starts blushing and then pops out her peach to teach him. However, her peach literally comes undone, so she forces Kurusu to sew it back. When he gets a little too handsy, she starts making dolphin sounds, but covers it up by saying that she's a zombie and doesn't feel anything. After that, Kurusu meets Monako, but she's so shy that she's walking far behind him. When Kurusu reminds him that this is a date and she should come closer, she frantically runs and crashes into a tree. As she falls down, he comes to check up on her, and she says her depth perception is bad due to having one eye. She then shyly asks him to take her somewhere private, and Kurusu's little genie comes out of the lamp thinking he's about to get laid. In reality, she just doesn't like crowds. As they stop for drinks, Monako feels flattered at how kind he is, but she believes he's just pretending. To test it out, she asks him to look at her, thinking he'd look away if he finds her weird, but Kurusu stares dead into her face and makes her flustered. Out of nowhere, she realizes that someone has been secretly watching them from the shadows, so the whole crew quickly works together and catches the suspicious figure, only to discover that it is Doppel, who is simply pulling a prank on everyone. Later that evening, as they walk home, the girls talk about how much they enjoyed spending time with Kurusu. Monako is particularly touched because he treated her just like any other person. While discussing the mysterious letters, they mention how beautiful the second one was, but Doppel surprises them by admitting she only sent the first letter. Meanwhile, Kurusu notices a strange woman standing by the roadside and decides to help her get home. Once there, everyone is shocked to learn that she is missing her head, and Mia is so disturbed by the sight of her body that she ends up bedridden. Wanting to help, Kurusu sets out to find the missing head, and the others volunteer to join the search. Ratchnara stays behind to watch over the woman, while the rest spread out and look for clues. After searching for hours, Mia is the one who finally finds the head. However, she is too frightened to go near it, so Kurusu carries it himself. The moment he picks it up, the head starts talking. She introduces herself as Dullahan, a reaper of death, and thanks him for taking care of her body. She explains that a mysterious organization has been chasing her and that, without her head, she cannot use her powers, so she asks Kurusu to reunite her with her body. As he carries her head back, Dullahan suddenly begins making cheerful noises and reveals that someone is doing something freaky to her body. Things become even more awkward when a police officer walks by. To avoid suspicion, Kurusu tries to hide the talking head, but the situation only gets worse when Sue joins in on the other side. The officer eventually catches him, though Poppy and the others arrive just in time to help him get out of trouble. Once everyone is back home and Dullahan has settled in, she explains more about herself. She belongs to a race of headless knights who appear before people on the verge of death. Their duty is to guide souls to the underworld, much like Grim Reapers. She then reveals that the real reason she has come to see Kurusu is that he is going to die very soon. Hearing this, Kurusu is naturally scared, and when she says she's come to reap his soul, Ratchnara ties her up with webs and says she won't let anyone touch her honey bunny. Even then, Dullahan says Kurusu can't escape death, so Ratchnara ties her mouth and tells the others to take Kurusu away. Immediately, Poppy grabs the idiot and flies at flashing speed, but after she feels Kurusu's nose poking where it doesn't belong, she gets flustered and crashes into a sign. Kurusu flips in the air 7 times before landing in Sue's bosom, But after he almost chokes in water, the girls catch up and realize that things are actually getting worse for Kurusu, so he might die for real. At this, Surya says she's already prepared a saddle for him to take him far away from any danger, so she forces him to ride her and takes off, dodging a speeding car and imagining herself living her love fantasy with her master. As she's imagining all that, she suddenly realizes Kurusu has fallen off, and she's dragging his sorry bum across the road. As she comes to a halt, Kurusu falls face first in front of her, and Surya cusses herself for making such silly mistakes. Just then, Dullahan appears behind her and warns her not to cheat death, so Surya signals Mayro to take Kurusu away while she fights Dullahan. Mayro then pushes Kurusu into the canal below, and after almost drowning, he makes it to the shore. There, Mayro says that since he's gonna die anyway, he should leave something behind for her, like an offspring whom she would raise in his memory, which would be perfectly tragic for her. At this, Kurusu panics and tries to run away, but she becomes crazy and pulls him underwater, where she plans to make him a dad. Luckily, Mia comes to save her darling and chokes Mayro with her tail. After she pulls Kurusu out, she sees that he's unconscious and realizes she'll need to give him CPR, but just then, Rachnara ties her in webs. She's joined by Dullahan, and Rachnara tells Mia to stop resisting and let Kurusu die without making him suffer. Feeling defeated, Mia asks Dullahan to take her life as well, stating how unfair it is that Dullahan just came today and is trying to take away her darling from her. Since she can't save him, she would rather be with him in heaven. Just then, Kurusu wakes up and casually says he's not going to die because he's got plot armor, while also announcing that he's going home and picking a wife for himself. He then walks towards the road, not knowing that Truck QN is waiting to send him to the afterlife, and despite Mia's warnings, he steps on the road. Just then, the truck crashes into him, but it turns out to be a toy truck, and Kurusu proves his point that he won't die just because some freak said so. As they return home, Smith joins them and confirms that Dullahan is not a Grim Reaper, and her real name is Lala. Despite this, Lala continues to claim that she's death incarnate and has come to take Kurusu's soul, until Smith tells her to stop the cap and tell the truth. Lala then reveals she's been watching Kurusu for a while, and he's seen how he's always in a life or death situation, but somehow makes it out alive. She believes he's going to die any day now, given his several encounters with death, so she's come to speed up the process. At this, Smith starts fuming and says she'll turn him into spaghetti if she even thinks of hurting Kurusu, while also stating that Lala ran away from all of her hosts. Now scared of Smith, Lala hides behind Kurusu and begs him to let her stay here, or else Smith will punish her. Smith immediately says okay, and Kurusu doesn't even get a say in the matter. Later, Smith praises him for seeing through Lala's nonsense, and Kurusu says it's because his life is always in danger, and that he was also a wannabe light Yagami in school. A few days later, Kurusu is going through the bills and realizes he's so close to being broke because he's living with so many demi-humans. When he checks the fridge for groceries, he sees it is empty because Mia used everything to make terrible food that no one is going to eat. At this, Kurusu decides to go to the market, but it's closed for maintenance, so he takes Surya, Poppy, Sue, and Mayro to the shopping district. Seeing them, the shopkeepers quickly hide the bird and fish meat so they don't offend the girls, but Kurusu tells them it's fine because they all eat it. Just then, Mayro goes to the fish shop and starts praising the fisherman's talent, and her eloquent speech makes him feel like he's in the presence of a queen. Because of this, he gives her one of his top-quality fish for free, and even when Kurusu refuses, the man gives them a bag full of fish for free. As Kurusu leaves the shop, he sees Surya at a vegetable shop, and the lady there gives her a free sample of her carrots. When Surya takes a bite, she screams in joy because she's never tasted carrots so good before. The woman then offers her a whole bunch on discount, but Kurusu apologizes, saying he's broke, prompting the woman to give them a box full of veggies for free. Just then, more shop owners arrive with free stuff for the girls, and with all that free stuff, Kurusu asks Surya to carry it home. After she leaves with Poppy and Mayro, Sue asks Kurusu not to worry about her because she can digest anything as food. However, Kurusu gently tells her that she's also family and he wants her to have the best food like everyone else. At this, Sue drags him to the forest where they meet Ki, and Sue asks her if they can harvest veggies and plants from her home. At first, Ki refuses to let Kurusu ravage her home, but after Sue sucks the juices out of her melons, she allows them to scavenge just to make her stop. She then guides them to a mushroom field, but Kurusu is worried some of them are poisonous and decides not to pick them. However, Sue can eat and tell which ones are good, so Kurusu ends up picking up a bunch. After that, he walks home with Sue and they run into Draco, who is still looking for revenge after she got mogged earlier. However, Sue spits out all the poison she injected earlier on her, causing Draco to fall sick. After that, Sue takes her to places she's never been to before, and by the night, Kurusu returns home and sets the table with a proper meal. As he's thanking Sue for the help, the bell rings and Agent Smith shows up with her squad to join the party. So Kurusu slams his head on the counter because he'll have to cook extra for everyone. However, he quickly channels his inner Gordon Ramsay and feeds everyone. But by the end, he's lamenting because he's run out of food again. That's when Smith reveals that food costs are covered by the government. And Kurusu starts freaking out because Smith never told him about this before. That is it for this video. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel for similar content. If you want to see more recaps, watch this video on screen.